Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste friends. Today's topic is on Vimsopakabala. When I was looking into creating conditional dasha systems, actually finding out what is the strength of a planet in a particular division, I was little unsure about certain things. So I looked into balas. What bala would suit, how do we evaluate bala in a divisional chart. So that led me into this. So Vimshapakabala, Vimsha is 20th part. So when you see all these Vimsha, the meaning of that always is consisting of 20 parts or accompanied or increased by 20th. So it is essentially an evaluation out of the score of say 20. So that's the system that this leads to. So let me give you a brief introduction before I take you into what it is all about. Most of us, you know all these things, but it might be a repetition for many. But anyway, just for the structure of it, I thought I would give it an introduction. So the Vimshapakabala is a system in Vedic astrology that's used to evaluate the strength and effectiveness of planets in the various divisional charts. So it's in a way gives a very quantitative analysis to assess the performance of planets in various areas of life. That's why we get into multiple divisional charts here. And when it's more of an effectiveness, I would say, compared to strength, because let us see how we differentiate between these two. I just pulled out material on differentiating strength and effectiveness in the context of medical drugs on the human body. So it can be in a way related to our planetary influences also. Let us see. The strength of the drug refers to its concentration or dosage. So it indicates the amount of active ingredient present in the formulation. So this is more of an inherent nature, like the planets. The strength, the Shadbala might be more of a strength. The strength determines the potency of the drug and its potential therapeutic effects. Of course, there are homeopathic medicines which in fact have more strength when they are dilute. So it is there the application is slightly in a different direction. But in the strength is more of an inherent nature, like Shadbala. Shadbala is more of a strength. Whereas when you come to Vimshapakabala, it is more like I would call it effectiveness. See, the effectiveness of the drug, it relates to how well it achieves the desired therapeutic outcome. It is the degree to which the drug produces the intended effects in treating a specific condition or symptom. Effectiveness can be influenced by various factors, including human body's support. So our body has to support our physiological processes, such as the presence of specific hormones and chemicals, can affect the drug's effectiveness. For example, certain drugs may rely on the presence of specific receptors or enzymes in the body to exert their therapeutic effects. That way, a planet must have the human body support. Like human body support, it should have the support of the environment it is acting on. So that's Vimsapakabala takes into account the environment. So speed of delivery, the speed at which a drug is delivered to the target site, can influence its effectiveness. Some conditions may require rapid drug delivery to the required provide immediate relief, while others may require sustained release formulations for a prolonged effect. So all this depends upon again the planet and the environment together. If you were to compare it to the Vimsapakabala, the time of delivery, the timing of it, this might be like our Vimshotri Dasha or any Dasha system. That would affect the effectiveness of the planet. So some drugs are most effective when taken at specific intervals or in accordance with the circadian rhythms. Timing may be crucial to achieve optimal drug concentrations in the body or align with the natural patterns of the condition being treated. So the optimal concentration within the body, it is something like that. Vimshapakabala is something like that. So it is more effective in a particular dasha. So it will show up in the particular dasha. So knowing Vimshapakabala is critical in terms of the effectiveness of a planet. The place of delivery, the specific location in the body where the drug acts can affect its effectiveness. Some drugs target specific organs and tissues while others have a systemic effect throughout the body. So whereas I would say Shadbala is more of a overall strength for the entire horoscope, this Vimsopakabala is more for a particular area of life, maybe for the Saptamsa alone, Navamsa alone. So separately we can study Vimshapakabala. So I would think it is more localized. The route of delivery, whether it is oral or intravenous or transdermal or inhalation, these definitely affect the effectiveness of the medicine. In the same way, there are here benefic, malefic places and all that we will come to see. So just might not be a correct analogy, but I thought this differentiates between strength and effectiveness and brings about the I would think Vimsopakabala is more effective, brings in the effective nature of a planet in bringing about its inherent strength. So it's a study of the effectiveness, I would think. And we come to say Parashara has defined multiple divisional charts. We all know this for different aspects of our individuals' lives, and these are considered for significant for analyzing the effects of planets in specific areas. He also, in fact, grouped them into and gave them weights. For instance, D1, D9, D2, D3, D12 and D30, the 6 of the Vargas, I put 6 here, he grouped it as Shad Varga, and there is no weightage for the others in this Shad Varga scheme. In the Sapta Varga scheme, we add D7 also. In the Dasa Varga, it is up to this D60. So you check what these are. In Shodasa Varga, he has added, in addition to D60, what else? He has added D10, D16 and all that, which have come about. And overall, he has also given weights to each of these schemes. In Shadvarga, the weight is 6 for D1, 5 for D9. So very high importance for the Rashi chart and somewhat fairly good importance for the Navamsha chart, and rest follow suit. The overall total score is 20. So all these numbers are out of 20. He has given 6 out of 20 for the Rashi chart. Sapta Varga, he has given a different system of weights. So is Dasa Varga. So Shadasa Vargas. But then for, if we were to, the words of Pandit Sanjay Rath, we use Shadvarga mainly for Prashna. Once we add Saptamsa also, which is Saptavarga, we use it for mundane astrology. And Dasavarga is named mainly for Jataka, natal charts that we study. So this is more important to our lives. Whereas for, you can also use Shodasa Varga, which is for Raj Jataka and also for Manusya Jataka as well. When you see this in Dasavarga, D60 is given the highest importance, even more than the Rashi chart. So the karma that we bring in from the past lives, that determines strongly how we are going to reap benefits in this Varga scheme. So all Vargas, the scores are out of 20 and weightages are different. So this is what Parashara has given. And when we come to any divisional chart, if the planet is in its own house, it gets a score of 20. When it is in a best friend's house, it gets a score of 18. In a friend's house, it gets a 15. In a neutral house, it gets 10. Enemy's house, only 7. And in a swan enemy's house, it gets only 5. When you see, these are the Parashara's ranking for benefic, malefic positioning. Enemy's positioning. So, how the Vimsopakabala is calculated? This is calculated for each of the any of the divisions. I mean, let us see how it is done. You take all the planets, and if it is going to be Shodasha Varga, it is going to be 16 divisions here. And each division has got a weightage as what we already saw. So these rows are the weights, and the total weights add up to 20. And if a planet is placed in a best friend's house, if it is in its own house, it gets a mark of 20. When it is in a best friend's house, it gets 18. This is some typical case, somebody's chart I have put here. So depending on where it is in, if it is in enemy's house, just as what you saw in the previous slide, it gets the scores. Now you multiply the scores into the weight divided by 20. So the basically 3.5 by 20 is the, you can call it that the weight. So the weight into 18 is to be multiplied. And then similarly the sun, for all charts it will have different numbers here. So you add up all that, basically 5 into 3 by 20, 18 into 1 by 20, 10 into 1 by 20, add all of them together and give a overall score. And this overall picture is the general natals entire Vimsopakabala position. But in case you want a specific number for that chart alone, you definitely see how it is getting distributed in that chart alone. When you want to overall weigh it, then you have to have the weighing factors also. Let me get into the significance of these balas. So higher the score, it indicates that results would be better, definitely, as we all see. And it might be higher in one division, very low in the other division. So that depends upon that fulfillment that in that particular facets of life as governed by that divisional chart. We know D9 represents marriage and partnerships, siblings D3, support systems we get, and a well-placed planet in these charts enhances the overall experience during its dasha. So that's the power of Vimsopakabala. When analyzing dasha system, it comes to easy analysis, it helps us. And also when we have to choose a particular conditional dasha, we are always stuck with whether a planet is strong in it to choose a particular dasha system. And there again, Vimshapaka is a very good guiding factor. In fact, Maitreya, a very powerful software that is freely available in this, it gives you the vargas, all the vargas, and it lists what are the vargas for each of the planets, and in that whether it is in a friend's house or a best friend's house or a own house and all that. So these are the dignities that it pulls out. And Varga Vishwa, if that is the whatever I showed before, in the if it is going to be a best friend, you have a value of 20. If it is an own friend, it's also a value of 20. And if it is an enemy's house, whatever that number that we saw is called the Vishwa. And then just as I showed you in the previous computation, it automatically computes the Vimshapakabala for each of the Vargas and then gives you the average also for the entire chart, containing all the divisional charts based upon the various Vargas. So this is a good software, you can maybe make use of that. And Jagannatha Vora also gives. Jagannatha Vora, my problem with Jagannatha Vora is it doesn't list out this portion. It gives you the overall percentage for each of the Varga schemes like Shodasa Varga, Shadvarga and all that. But inside it calculates all this. It doesn't output these things. So it is better if we go through either this software or maybe use the Excel that I am going to provide today. So how do we interpret these numbers? So Jagannatha Vora provides the group calculated score in the strength tab that we see, and a score of 10 below. It's all marks out of 20. So 10 is just average. So lacks a fulfillment in many areas of life. Even if the score below 10 means very low. So here I put some example chart. For D1 I have separately plotted, D9 I have separately plotted. Any division you can separately plot in this Excel. And see, here is a very poor fulfillment because 7 out of 20 is a very poor score for Mercury here, for Venus here, whereas these perform well. Whereas in the Navams, all of them perform fairly the average way. This I plotted, in fact, for a no marriage case. This is the data. And if you see, it is all lacking. Venus is the Karaka for marriage, has a very, very low score in D9. So also in the Rashi chart. and this person is not married at all. So he was born in 1959, so he is still not married. So there are multiple cases, you can check all this. Very useful tool. Now, main focus of today's is the Excel that I am going to present. The Excel for Vimshapaka calculation. The advantages that I see for Excel are you get to know, even people who do not know anything about Vimsopaka, they can understand the transparency and the mechanism of computation of all this. So it is maybe used as even a teaching tool for Vedic astrology, and you can have nice graphical understanding also. Of course, you can manipulate the data to other requirements as well and customize and report it to multiple fashions. So this is just a brief introduction I have given here. Now I will walk you through the Excel file. So here I have 3 sheets. The first sheet I have just pasted you the divisional weightage so that you get an idea of all this. So the 6 is Shadvarga, 7 is Saptavarga, 10 is Dasavarga, 16 is Shodasavarga. It's only a nomenclature. The weights are these are the weights. The weights add up to 20. So the total marks is out of 20. So here what I do is essentially what is required. One has to know if it in a divisional chart it is in a own sign or in a best friend sign or a friend sign and all that. So that is a compound relationship. To get the compound relationship, first of all you should know the permanent relationship. The permanent relationship, this is a fixed matrix that I erected here. F is for friend, E for enemy, N for neutral. So this is a permanent relationship. There are maybe some people consider differently, but generally I have stuck to what Jagannatha Vara says. So this is slight differences might be there in terms of other schools also. Once we know the permanent relationship, then we suppose for each division one has to calculate the compound relationship. So not only permanent relationship, we should know the temporary relationship in that particular chart. Here I have put a VBA code called get temporary relationship. So let us see what it does. So get temporary relationship, it says we need to know the planet 1's Rasi and the planet 2 Rashis. Planet 1 would be a particular planet, and the lord of that in that division would be the P2 Rasi. Lord's position would be the Rasi of the Lord's position would be the P2 Rasi, and therefore if it is in 2, 3, 4, 10, 12 mutually, then it becomes a friend. For other cases it becomes an enemy. Okay, this is the simple code for getting the temporary relationship. But understand that we need to get to the suppose Surya is in tenanting Aquarius, we need to know where Saturn is, because Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, and in this case Saturn happens to be in Sagittarius for this simple case, some case. Therefore it has to identify the 2 Rasis and get to the what we call the temporary relationship. Once we know the temporary and the permanent, then the compound relationship has to be this. Again I put a code here. Compound relationship is if both compound relationship is a best friend or a neutral, you can just go through this. When it becomes a neutral plus neutral or friend plus all that combinations you can work out. So these are computed. I have placed for each of the divisions here. There at the top 8 and the bottom 8. So 8, 16 charts maximum. So for all these, it needs to know the position of the planets in the various divisions. We have already we can get it from the longitude of the planets directly, but this time I preferred we have already erected that for a different worksheet. But in this division, what I am doing is I am getting the data from Jagannatha Vara directly. So what you will have to, an user has to do is just go to Jagannatha Vara, create your chart, and then comes to the basic tab there. So watchfully, then come to Rasis occupied in all the Vargas. This is important. This is what I am going to copy and paste. So this anywhere you right click and copy, and then come to the sheet and then just paste it at the red item that I have placed here called body. I am just going to paste it and then going to data, and I am going to separate the text into columns, and you see there I am using fixed width. I am just going to press next and finish, and it will say there is already data here, do you want to replace it? I will say OK. That's all. This is copied, and essentially I am going to use only from Lagna to Ketu. So this will be in fact used in the main sheet by itself. So automatically this would be computed. So once these numbers are computed, now we come to the Dasavarga scheme. The user's input is in this color. If you want Shadvarga, you place Shadvarga. So the graph would all change. If you, so I already said for each of the planets, it will pull out from say N32, because this is D1, it will go to D1 and N32 would be here. And for Surya, it will identify whether it is an enemy's chart or a friend's position, and therefore it will get the mark for that. It becomes an enemy here, so the mark becomes 7 here. So it will basically multiply this by the weight for that. So once you change the Shadvarga to say Saptavarga, the weights would automatically change here. So you can normally we use the Dasavarga. So Dasavarga, you have a 3 score for D1, 1.5 for D9. Quite when you see D60 gets the highest score, so I have put a top arrow there. For low scores, I have put a bottom arrow there, just for our understanding. Even the color code will tell you whether it is a very great importance or a less importance. So if I change it to Shodasavarga, you see everything is populated. There are no zeros here, and these are all low values anyway. 0.5 total weightage is 20, and it will add up all that, and the plot of this is what you see here. So this is the overall Vimsopakabala. But always we are not only interested in the overall, we are interested in how we perform in a particular area of life. Say how this person has performed in terms of marriage. So you choose D1 here for Rasi chart, you choose D9 here. So what this plots is essentially these numbers, the Vimshapakabala of D3 or D12 or D30, whatever. That is what is plotted here. So you can do it for much. So if I have to create for another person, I just go to Jagannathavara, I pull out that data, just copy and paste, just paste it there, and you get the divisional charts. So this would be very useful. I have seen it working out very nicely. The overall strength is just like maybe Shadbala, but this individual strength is very revealing in terms of the particular divisional chart. So you can definitely customize it to other ways. So I will give you a downloadable link to this. Hope you can make use of this, also understand these calculations better. Thank you.